Hey listeners, Mallory Wilsey here, Chief Producer of the Enrollify Network, and I want to take just a quick moment to tell you about another show on our podcast network that I know you'll love. In Your Element, hosted by Brendan Henkel and Daniela Norden, is a podcast bridging the gap between leadership and real talk in the dynamic world of higher ed. Every episode is a deep dive into the practical side of working in higher ed, featuring real-world tips, best practices, and use cases from Element 451 users. Join our hosts as they bring on savvy IT leaders, visionary college presidents, and leading voices in the field to share their experiences and insights. From the challenges to the triumphs of higher ed, In Your Element is your source for candid discussions, innovative strategies, and the impactful use of technology, especially AI, in personalizing the student journey. You can subscribe to the show by visiting podcast.enrollify.org or by searching for In Your Element wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the EduData Podcast, a podcast that serves as your weekly guide to the data driving higher education. We are your hosts. I'm Jamie Boggs.
And I'm Timothy Davis. Join us every Friday for weekly breakdowns of the most important data, trends, and topics in higher education.
The EduData Podcast is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the EduData Podcast. In this episode, Jamie and I are going to be discussing the technology arms race that we're now all competing in as institutions try to leverage technology to improve the student experience and to deliver academic content and programming in new and innovative ways that are attractive to those students. So, Jamie, did you catch the episode of The Pulse the other day where Mallory and Seth were talking about this article from Jeff Selingo?
Yeah, I love the reinvention of what they've done with The Pulse over there and the conversations that they're able to have just on, I mean, like it's titled, what's current, what's hot, what are we debating now in higher ed? And I think they put a lot of the right cards out on the table that people need to be talking about.
For sure. So if you haven't checked out The Pulse, it's an Enrollify podcast. Check it out on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. But the article that they mentioned the other day was this article from Jeff Selingo in the Chronicle, basically talking about the end of the amenities arms race, as we might say. I'm not sure if that's the exact phrasing he used. That's the one that's bouncing around in my brain, so I apologize if I'm not saying it exactly as it's presented in the article, but it's the idea. And the amenities arms race was basically what amenities could we offer that would be really attractive to students, that would basically entice them to come to our institution over others. And so the amenity was the competitive edge, right? Seth Odell, again, over on the Pulse, calls this the lazy river era, right, where we were trying to prop up the campus with all these cool things that students can do while on campus.
I'm going to be honest with you, Timothy. When I was looking for colleges, air conditioning was the big carrot on the stick. You had air conditioning in your residence halls, then you had a leg up over some other schools. Obviously, that's a given for the most part now, and you're right. It was
air conditioning, water on tap. I mean, can you believe this?
Like, they provide a corded phone in the room for you to call and order pizza. We're
living in the future.
Another level. But then a few years ago, you're right. It's like there may be some lazy rivers. That's a bit of hyperbole, but it's very much look at our student center. Look at this residence hall. That's how awesome your room is going to be. It's how are we keeping up? It's keeping up with the Joneses for institutions.
Right. But as Jeff notes, I mean, students' expectations have shifted really dramatically, both in response to COVID, but also just as part of this new generation and the new economic reality that they have, the new social values that they prioritize. Right. And so that's shifted their approach to colleges, and it's shifted their expectations. And they're much more focused on the programs they want to study. They're much more focused on outcomes. They are not as impressed by the lazy river, because that lazy river isn't going to get you a job.
Yep.
So Jeff kind of talks about how technology is the new competitive edge that schools will look for to entice students, to provide a solid student experience, really streamlined student experience, perhaps, and to innovate and deliver their programming and their courses. And so today I wanted to bounce a few ideas off of you, Jamie, of how schools are going to leverage technology to do just that. You ready to start?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Okay. The first idea is what I'm calling maybe data on demand. When the student needs to know something about their status with the university, how quickly can you as a university, you as an institution, deliver them that information? Do they need to go to the business office or the financial aid office or whoever and talk to 3 people? Or can they pull it up on their phone? Can they access it through their student portal, whatever it may be? How quickly can you deliver student information? Because that is a huge component of the student experience, right? If you're having to trek across campus to tick off the tasks of enrolling, that's a much less streamlined experience than being able to control most of that, or at least view it and request help through your phone or through your laptop. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge competitive advantage, even in like the recruitment process. If a student is having to email somebody and wait for a reply about a particular question, they may email that out to 5 different schools. And if your school has somebody manually checking that and will respond by the end of the day, and that's your resource, that's great. But somebody out there is going to have an AI component that is going to take that question, look at the data that's been imported into that, and immediately send an answer. Or maybe they're able to text and get an AI response, or visit the website and chat. Like the immediacy of that response and the accuracy needs to be top notch. We're past the days, I think, of we'll get back to you when we can. Students want it now, and if you don't give it to them now, somebody else will. And that's just the reality of where we are.
Right. And that's the expectation that we've all sort of grown accustomed to, not just in higher ed, especially not in higher ed, but in every other aspect of our lives. You know, you can order groceries on your phone. You can accomplish all these other administrative things on your phone. The fact that you can't have that same experience in higher ed is a rub, is a point of contention, and is a tick against a student experience. That's not to say, I don't think, though, it's not to say that humans no longer need to be in the loop. Your back-end offices, your front-end offices, the folks that are dealing with students are still very vital. Their role, though, should not be so focused on just simply delivering data, delivering information to students, but rather interfacing with them in meaningful ways, building connections, and being able to tackle bigger picture components of that experience, not just the nitty-gritty details of what course are you enrolled in.
Yeah, instead of an admissions officer working on just doing a fill-in document where they're putting your name and your major in a document, they're spending hours reformatting that every year. If that's automated, then you're going to have time to curate your message. You're going to have time to refine your own internal processes, to focus on the way that you actually support the students when the communication is kind of taken care of. Mm-hmm. And you can continue to fine tune and refine those messages, create those prompts, and make sure that everything is top notch. But you have more time to do that because everything's not manual.
Right. And you also just generally have more time to contribute to campus culture. Staff and faculty are integral to the culture that you build on your campus. And that brings me to my next idea, is a culture idea, is that everyone needs to own the initiative, their own initiative to learn about technology. Technology is not just a tack on to our jobs anymore. It's not just like a thing that other people manage. Technology is our tool. It is our tool to do our jobs, and we need to be willing to be curious about that, to learn more to the best of our ability, to apply ourselves to that. There's no more of this, oh, I've got a tech guy, or there's this tech whiz over there in this other department. I'll just go pop this on their desk. That's their problem. No. We all have to take ownership of the technology that we use, try to understand it and utilize it to the best that we can.
Hey there, it's Jamie and Timothy from the EduData Podcast, and we want to personally invite you to the Engage Summit this summer in Raleigh, North Carolina. The theme of the conference is AI Got You.
We're not just talking theories. This conference is your guide to understanding and applying AI at your institution. By the end, you won't just get AI, you'll be ready to lead your campus through an AI transformation. It's for everyone who wants to use AI to level up everything you're doing. Whether your focus is to recruit or retain, the summit offers a platform to learn, network, and bring back actionable insights to enhance your student engagement strategies.
I hope you'll join us and some of our favorite Enrollify creators like Jamie Hunt, Dustin Ramsdell, and Artis Cadu in Raleigh on June 25th and 26th. Use the discount code Enrollify50 and you can register for just $99. You do not want to miss this, so join us at the Engage Summit this June.
Learn more and register at engage.element451.com. Can't wait to see you there.
And we do that in every industry with tools. I'm not sure what it is about technology that people either are afraid of or hesitant to adopt. If you're into carpentry and you're used to using just a hammer and a nail or a stapler, if you have an automatic staple gun, you're not going to avoid using that. It's going to make your life easier and get the job done just as well or better. You're going to use that tool. But for some reason, with technology, with computers, with artificial intelligence, we're hesitant to take that in and incorporate it. I'm not sure why that is, if it just feels bigger than us and we have a less of an understanding of what's happening. But the hesitancy to incorporate all those tools has been around for as long as I can remember.
Absolutely.
People still want to do things on pencil and paper, and our students never saw that. They don't want to do that. And if you are doing things the way you've always done them because they've quote unquote always worked, they're not going to be as efficient as other places. So you want to be your best to get the best. So you have to adopt the best practices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I think is a professional development opportunity for everyone. And that's the way that I think institutions should think about this. This is not, we need to go find other data focused, technology focused people. No, we need to assist and empower the folks we've got to be able to handle this. Especially, I mean, you think about how long folks tend to work on higher ed campuses. Most of the knowledge that they've accumulated, I mean, that is invaluable. And so then empowering them to wield technology, that's a slam dunk in my mind. So this is absolutely a professional development angle. That's the way I think we should think about it. An idea here is if I was a university president, or if I was in charge of staff or faculty at an institution, I might consider allowing them or encouraging them to audit technology courses that were offered on campus. Like if there was a computer science course, why not just have some folks audit that, get a sense of it? I mean, it may not be directly applicable to the software that they're using, but just generally understanding technology more is incredibly helpful when you're dealing with it in any respect. Thoughts on that?
Yes, it's costing you the time that they're using for that training, but you're not sending them across the country to a conference. You're not paying for webinars. You're using a resource you already have to improve the level of performance of the staff across campus. I absolutely love that idea, and I think it could be great. And you could even follow up with other development pieces of people from different parts of campus getting together to discuss those things of how can we use this together? I know I have this data and you have that data. I feel like we can help each other. I learned something in this class that could help us put it together. Let's do that.
Right. So fostering a culture of curiosity, fostering a culture of folks that are willing to figure it out, right? And figure it out yourself or figure it out together mentality, I think is going to be really important moving forward.
The return on that investment is just more than anybody can imagine. So it should be a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Third idea I have for you, the institutions that are going to be really successful at gaining an edge in technology are those that are able to encode their processes in software as much as possible. right? So maybe that's admissions decisions, or maybe that's your prospect flow. If we're talking about sort of the admissions side of the house, on the academic side of the house, maybe that's the class prep, how the syllabi gets created, how classes are assigned, however that works as you're doing course rotations or whatever it may be on the academic side of the house. As much as we can encode those processes in software and then perhaps even automate them, the better off we will be. As I mentioned, we have folks on higher ed campuses that have been working there forever, and those processes are not on paper. They're certainly not in a computer. They're in everybody's heads.
Yep.
And that's fine. That's good. We need to have understandings of those processes, but they need to be documented and they need to exist outside of our heads as well, so that we can all follow them and all have the same understanding. Because you've worked on a campus too. You maybe encountered those folks that one person has one idea of a process or a policy or whatever, and maybe that policy is not written, and another person has an entirely different one about how things ought to operate. And so in being able to encode that in software, encode that in documentation as much as possible, I think is also going to be a huge edge for folks to innovate quickly, because the more you have a shared understanding, the quicker you can work together to accomplish new goals.
Yeah, and there's another area of a gap you can close there. I know if Miss Judy has worked in financial aid for 35 years, Miss Judy knows those processes. Miss Judy also knows why we don't do it this way, and this way, because she was there when they tried it and it didn't work. We lose institutional knowledge when we lose people, but we now have a way to retain at least some of that. If you can get somebody to just record that knowledge, we have ways not only to just store it. It's not going to be in a Word document on a data share. We're going to incorporate it in a way that's useful and helps us to make decisions moving forward. So you can retain not only the processes and improve efficiency, but retain knowledge that would be lost when people leave the institution or retire. And that's, I think, a big problem for every school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's of course there's the component of knowledge retention, right? When staff turnover does occur, which we know that it does in higher ed pretty frequently, but it's also about enabling automation, right? So that documentation doesn't just have to live in a Word document, right? It doesn't have to live in a written policy that has a board to, approve changes of it or whatever, but can live in automation tools, can live in, I think about workflows within Element 451. I think about intelligent admissions rules that advance students through the decision process, those sorts of ways that we can think about our processes and then put that into tools that will help us do them quicker is going to be really essential as we try to move faster, try to deliver decisions faster, or deliver catalogs faster, whatever it is that we need to be more efficient at, that we can do that when the software is working with us, not when we're treating the software anew each time,
And perhaps more so than the other topics we've covered on this podcast, this arms race is moving quickly. If you don't jump on board, you're going to be left behind. So make sure you're up to date with the technology that is being used in best practices, and the Enrollify suite of podcasts is a great way to get that.
Absolutely. Please do check out the other podcasts in the Enrollify network. And for us, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. We will see you in the next one. For Jamie Boggs, I'm Timothy Davis. Have a great rest of your day. The EduData Podcast is part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like the other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month. We've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional.
Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Jamie Hunt, Artis Cadu, Dustin Ramsdale, Jeremy Tiers, and so many of your other favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.